Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode, Springans has received additional support in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel with the addition of Sargus, I should say, and Tally-Ho Springans, allowing them to end on quite an incredible board. Now, let's firstly talk about Tally-Ho Springans, which is an absolutely insane card. It's basically Soul Charge and a search. It's insane. So let's quickly talk about it. When this card is activated, you can detach up to 3 materials from a monster you control, add a Springan monster from your deck to your hand, then if you detached any material at activation, you could special summon that many Springan monsters from hand or grave. Basically Soul Charge. Fantastic. During your main phase, if this card is in your graveyard, target an XZ monster, detach material, add this card back to your hand. Also, it recurs itself. Fantastic. Now granted, most of the time you won't be using that secondary effect, except for the ability to detach a material to trigger something like your champion Sargus. Sargus has the ability to, once per turn, if it you can also XZ it on top of a Springans XZ monster, which is very good. That means you can get out a Merrymaker in order to go into this guy, or an X-Blower in order to go into this guy as well. Then, while this card has material, you can add a Springans or Therion card from your deck to your hand. Hey, guess what? Springans Tally-Ho, or Tally-Ho Springans, is in fact a Springans card, so you can add that one. Fantastic. So this guy searches, and he is easy to make due to the field spell, as well as just getting a rank 4 onto your field with Merrymaker. Very nice. Then, if a material is detached from a monster on the field, you can target a card in the field, either destroy it or return it to the hand, which is very good. Not only does it have varied removal, but it can hit basically anything on the field, either destroying it or returning it to the hand. And especially against something like Tyr, for example, being able to bounce like, I don't know, Kit Kalos or a SnowiKs or something like that is very strong. So that's it for the new cards. Let's talk about the rest of the deck list. And as you can see, we're also playing sprites because, hey, guess what? Smashers is also a Springan card. And so is a bunch of the sprite cards. They're also text. We're also playing Regulus because it's a Therion, because it's all Boz lore, technically. So let's quickly do the card by card and the explanation. Starting with the hand traps, we're playing 3 Maxi, 3 Ash Blossom, and 3 Infip. We're also running a few other tech cards, most notably double triple tactics talents, the 1 pot of prosperity, and the double called by. That's it for the non-engine pieces. As for the rest of our engine, we are running, for Springans, we're running triple Rocky, the double Brothers, double Kit, 1 Sargus, and 1 Bronga. Now, Rocky is able to add back from the graveyard one of your monsters. Brothers can special summon a monster from the grave when it's sent to the graveyard, and the Bronga can also search by banishing another Springans monster with a different name from the grave in order to search out a Springans, I believe it's card. Yeah, a Springans card. And then Sargus is part of the end board. During your opponent's turn, you can detach an XZ material to target a face-up card on the field and destroy it, which is very good because that would also trigger the champion Sargus. So overall, part of the end board, pretty nice. And then Kit is just, it's Kit. We're also playing the 1 Branded in High Spirits in addition to that to send something like Sprint, since it is a machine, and all of these guys are machines. Pretty nice. And then Regulus is also searchable, and not only is it searchable off of Sargus, it's also searchable off of Smashers. If you didn't know, Sprite Smashers is technically a Therion, a Springan, and a Sprite tech card, or a card in general. It can special summon a Springan monster from your deck, so you can banish a sprite in order to special summon a Springan. You could also special summon a Therion monster from your grave, and you could also do the banish effect. So, pretty good. There you go. We're playing 2 of that for that reason, and we can also search it off of the Jet, which we're playing 1 of, as well as the 1 of Blue. We're also in the extra deck playing that 1 gigantic sprite to go into or in order to grab up either of those 2, and we can summon this with the R2 level or Link 2s. Sorry. Moving on to the rest of our spells, we are running triple Springans Watch, which grabs up the gold Golgonda, the Great Sand Sea. It also allows us to send and add a Springan monster to our hand. So you send 1 to the graveyard, add 1 to your hand. Very strong if you already have the gold Golgonda. We're playing obviously 3 gold Golgonda, and then we are playing triple Springans Booty, which basically does the same thing. This is basically just 9 copies of the field spell, which is exactly what we want because we kind of need this. Talking about gold Golgonda, basically you discard a Springan Springans monster to special summon a Springans Xyz monster from your extra deck, that being Merrymaker. We'll talk about that in a second, and then I believe that's it, and then we have just Brandon and High Spirits for the Sprint. So there you go. As for the extra deck, we're running the one Sprint, one Djinn Buster to go into off of our Sprite monsters. We have the one Gigantic, we have one Gigant X, we have the Abyss Dweller, we have Baguska, we have triple Merrymaker. Realistically, there should be 2 Merrymakers and an X-Blower, but I don't have the X-Blower, so alas. And honestly, I never really had an instance where an X-Blower would come up. Merrymaker is very good, though. You don't need 3, though. But this card is very important for the combo, because on special summon, if it is special summoned, from your extra deck, you can send a Springans monster from your deck to the grave. This allows you to trigger something like Brothers, or get an additional material into the grave, which can then be utilized to attach themselves as material, because all of the Springans have the ability, I believe except for, no, all of them have the ability to attach themselves from grave, hand, or field to a Springans Xyz monster. Now, notably, Champion Sargus isn't a Springans Xyz, so you do have to attach it to the Merrymaker. However, it also has the ability to tag out during the opponent's turn, which doesn't really matter all that much, because basically you're just going to use it to be ranking up onto the Champion Sargus. So yeah, you go into the Champion Sargus. Sargus is then able to do its effect, and you can detach up to 3 materials from it with the Tally Ho in order to special summon out 3 monsters, the one you search and the 2 that were detached. So normally the idea is you summon Merrymaker with an additional Springans in hand or on field, then you go and attach both of those to the Merrymaker. You rank up on top of that the Champion, and then Champion will grab Tally Ho. Tally Ho will detach 3 materials, search 1 additional Springan monster, and then special the 2 from grave that were detached that weren't Merrymaker, and then you have 3 additional bodies on your field for free. Pretty nice. Then we have ourselves the one Hope Harbinger, because we do have the ability to go into a rank 8 with some of our 8s. We have the one Zeus, we have the one Cleaforge Genius, and the one Platinum Gadget. So that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the duels and show you how this deck performs. Alright, so here we are going first, and well, we drew double Maxi, which is very funny, but we actually drew the Springans Watch, which gives us the Gold Golgonda, so we're going to go for that. We're going to activate the Gold Golgonda, pitching Brothers, and then go for the Merrymaker. Now, obviously, we had to pitch the Brothers because it was our only Springans card that we could send off of our Gold Golgonda, but it's fine. Normally, we want to send the Brothers to the graveyard to special summon something back, like the Rocky, which would then add the Brothers to hand, which then you can normal summon. But alas, we weren't able to do that this time. That's still fine. We can go and attach the 2 materials to the Merrymaker, and then quickly rank that up into the Champion Sargus. Sargus will then search the Tally Ho, and we'll activate the Tally Ho, detaching all 3 of the material, grabbing up the Champion Sargus. Special summoning out 1, 2, and 3 off of that resolution, and activating the Rocky to put back the Merrymaker, because why not? Here we can go for the Gigant X and activate the effect in order to grab up Brothers. We haven't normal summoned, but we are going to go for the Platinum Gadget here. We're going to activate the effect special summoning out the Brothers off of the Gigant X, or sorry, the Platinum Gadget, and then using the Platinum Gadget and the Max C that we had to go into Gigantic. Here we can go for the Regulus, activate the Gigantic to go for blue. I'm actually going to bounce my monster back to the hand with the Sargus, so there you go. We will then grab ourselves the Jet, special summon the Jet, and grab up Smashers. Here we can go for the Djinn Buster, and I'm actually going to put that there, set the Smashers, and pass. So we just need to use the Djinn Buster first before we can activate the Smashers effect to banish here, and then we can banish the Djinn Buster. So all in all, we have ourselves a bounce as soon as we utilize one of our well, if an Xyz material leaves the field with something like Djinn Buster, we have the negate with Djinn Buster, we have the banish, as well as the Max C. So I'm feeling pretty good. Oh, and then we have the Omni negate. My opponent is going to go for the Achichi. I'm going to activate the Max C. They are going to then activate their Gachiri. I'm going to negate that. I don't really want that to happen. And we're going to go for the Champion Sargus, hitting one of the trap cards. I'm not really too worried about their monsters on field, seeing as how we do have the Regulus as well as Smashers. So they're going to get their search of their field spell. I'm like, that's a-okay, because they probably already have a field spell as well. And then we're going to go for the Smashers here, banishing that field spell, just in case they have another one. We are going to negate this as well, since a Xyz was banished. We do get to, it's not a negate, they cannot attack, I believe. If a face-up Xyz monster you control targeted, it cannot attack for the rest of this turn. There you go. Anyway, they're going to go for the Splash Mage here, and we are going to allow that. They're going to activate the Splash Mage, to which I will promptly negate, seeing as how it is a hard once per turn on that effect, so there you go. Turn passes back to us, And we now have 4 cards in hand, 5 cards in hand, thanks to that Maxi, and we drew the 3rd Maxi. Very funny. We're going to go for the Great Sea Gold Golgonda, and they are going to negate the Gigantic. Not entirely sure why we decided to do this, but that's fine. We're going to go for the Merrymaker and the Brothers in a Chain, special summoning out that Rocky, and we're going to send to the graveyard the Bronga. We're going to add back that Brothers and then rank up into Sargus. Sargus will then allow us to go into the Tally-Ho. We're going to detach the Sprite material, the Gigantic Sprite material, and then special summon back the champion Sargus. That will allow the other champion Sargus to pop a card. We're going to banish it 2 and grab ourselves the Springans Watch, then link off into Cleafort's Genius just to get additional bodies off of the field so that we can then go for the lethal push. My opponent realizes the writing on the wall and concedes. Alright, and here we are going second, so let's see what we can do. We did happen to draw the triple tack, so that's pretty good. My opponent is going to start off with Shithana here, and they are going to activate the effect of the Air Emergence, grab up the Moye, so we are going to have to basically contend with a full board of Sword Soul. So they're going to go for the Moye, activate the effect in order to go into the Chixiao. They will then activate Chixiao effect, Moye effect in Chain, in order to draw a card and then add the Long One. Long One will then activate its effect of pitching the Vashetta in order to go into their level 10 of Baron de Fleur. So they're going to burn us for 12 and pass on that. So I'm guessing that this is either an Imperm or a Blackout, most likely a Blackout, seeing as how they have the Shithana still on their field. So I'm guessing it's Blackout, Baron, Chixiao, and that's what we have to contend with. I draw the Imperm, which is fantastic. I'm going to activate the Imperm. They are going to activate Baron, which is hilarious, because now we get to go for the triple tactics. So we're going to go triple tactics and draw 2. My opponent will then activate their Ash Blossom. I will then called by that. And I'm sure you're wondering, why did we go for the draw 2 when we could have just taken one of their monsters or looked at the opponent's hand or something like that? Here's the thing. No matter what we do, realistically, there isn't really going to be a good option for us with those 2 options. Sure, we could take a monster and potentially take Baron, but then we don't really have anything to do off of the Baron, because this hand is kind of mid, I'm not gonna lie. So the drawing 2 allows us to either get something like a Tally-Ho or an additional follow-up, like for example the Field Spell. We do kind of need the Field Spell, and with the negation down on Baron de Fleur, we should be absolutely fine. So I'm gonna draw 2 here, and we draw into the Called By and Springans Booty, which is exactly what we needed. So we're gonna go for the Springans Booty, grab up our Field Spell, pitch the Bronga, and go for Merrymaker. They are going to negate the Chixiao, but that's totally fine. We're just going to equip. That's basically all that we want. And my opponent is going to play Waterfall of Dragon Souls, which just adds a worm. That's all it does. Doesn't do anything. Cool. Great. Fantastic. They're out of interactions, and I'm feeling pretty good. We're gonna go and equip the 2 monsters to our Merrymaker and go into Sargus. They're going to go for the chicken. Okay. Yeah, we're going to grab Tally-Ho, and at this point, the end of the game is nigh. So we are going to grab up that Sargus. We are then going to special summon out 1, 2, and 3, which will then trigger our Sargus in order to pop the Baron. We're also going to trigger the Rocky to put back the Merrymaker. Then we are going to normal summon Kit, and my opponent is like, I can't deal with this, and concedes. Whoops. Alright, and here we are going first once again, and, well, I mean, we drew the Field Spell, which is exactly what we need. So we're going to go and activate Booty, go activate the effect of the Gold Golgonda, pitching the Kit to go for Merrymaker. Merrymaker will then go for the Brothers. Brothers will special summon back the Kit. Kit will then grab up the Branded in High Spirits and put back the Tally-Ho, and then we can equip it to the Merrymaker to go for the Sargus. Sargus will then activate its effect, grabbing up Regulus here. Realistically, I shouldn't have grabbed Regulus. I should have grabbed a level 4 that we could have normal summoned to go into the Geargiant X, but alas, here we are. Because the Regulus we can actually utilize later. Anyway, that's fine. We're going to grab up the Sargus, and we're going to special summon out 2 monsters, because we only could special summon out 2. We're going to send Sprint here, and then not send the Regulus. We just wanted to send Sprint. We're going to go for the Abyss Dweller, and then go for the Regulus as well. Then we're going to go for the Sprint in the end phase to grab up Bronga, just because he's there, and pass on this. Now, this looks significantly weaker, but it is technically 2 pops, more or less. A pop, a bounce, a negate, and Abyss Dweller. So, it's not the end of the world, but it's not exactly exceptional. We're going to start off with the Abyss Dweller, and my opponent goes for Urgent Schedule. They're going to go for the Urgent Schedule. I'm going to pop the Derricrane, because, no. They're then going to go for the deployment, to the which I will promptly negate. I think that's a pretty good negate. They're then going to go for the Heavy Forward. I'm going to detach the last material from the Abyss Dweller, popping that, and they're going to set a card and pass. Cool! Looks like we've at least survived, so I'm feeling pretty good. We're going to go and activate the effect of our Gold Sea Gold Golgonda, to the which they will activate their urgent schedule, summoning out 2 monsters, which is fine. Again, not really that big of a deal. We're going to go for the Merrymaker here. This will bring back the Rocky due to the Brothers effect. We will grab up the kit there. Then we will equip with the Brothers effect. We will equip Rocky from field. I know, kind of weird. But we're also going to equip the Bronga as well. And then go into the champion Sargus. Sargus will then activate the effect to grab up Tally-Ho. And then we can synchro in... Link off into Genius, and then Genius will be, we will trigger the Tally-Ho, special summon back a whole bunch of monsters, trigger the Genius, just kidding, we don't have a target for the Genius. Anyway, we're going to trigger the Sargus, then go into the Urgent X, add Rocky, I guess, and then go and link off into Platinum Gadget. This will then allow us to grow and special summon out Kit first and foremost, grab back the Brandon and High Spirits just to put back that Rocky, then go for the Bronga here in order to search out the Tally-Ho. We're then going to normal summon the Rocky, go into Gigantic Sprite. Gigantic Sprite will then grab the Jet. Jet will then grab Smashers here, and then we can proceed to the battle phase. We're going to walk over the monsters with the Jet, the Kit, and then walk in for well over lethal with Smashers, Tally-Ho, and hey, Triple Tactics. Pretty good. And we're back with the deck. In all honesty, this deck is very interesting. A lot of the end boards that you can end on are very diverse in their interactions. There are multiple pops or bounces, or there is banishes with things like the Smashers, there's negates, etc., etc. There's lots of different things that you can go for. You can even just end on Baguska, because why not? I also really do enjoy the combo lines that you have to go through. It is pretty simple as well, so if you're looking for a more simplistic deck, this is one to look out for. Also, it's just cool to see like Sprite and Therion and Springan and Branded and all of these cool things all kind of mixed together. I do really enjoy decks like that. So it's very cool to see how good this deck is. And I will say, I didn't have the greatest of time with this one. I got very unlucky with this and had some pretty middling games, I will say. Very, very die roll. Sometimes your end board is just the end of the game immediately, and your opponent can't really do anything, which is kind of boring. Sometimes you can't play through anything because your hand didn't happen to see this guy, or something along those lines. There are a lot of reasons as to why this isn't exactly the best of decks, because if they have any sort of interaction for Gold Golgonda, you probably just lose. You do have to make sure that this resolves, because going into the Merrymaker means that you can actually go into the Sargus, which is actually how you do things, right? Even with Tally-Ho and stuff like that, yes, it does allow your end board to actually do stuff now, but even with that being said, it's still not that great because of the lack of recursion, the lack of power behind your initial play, the lack of a protection for Gold Golgonda, and like it making sure that it has to resolve basically. But alas, if it does, it's great. So there you go. I like it. Probably not the deck for me because I'm horribly unlucky, but alas, if you are not unlucky like me, this deck is fantastic. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, a like is very much appreciated, and if you want to check out more content like this, as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh!, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye. Shout out to the Frost Guard, my members. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I hope you enjoy the content.